welcome in. This is a Bloodborne review by max0r. Apparently he makes videos and they're kind of hectic and fun. So I thought, why not watch some? I really loved Bloodborne, except for the fucking Orphan of Cause. He was my least favorite of all of them. I feel like none of them made me rage as much as him. He made me cry. He made me cry. If you haven't played Bloodborne, I really recommend it. So this is going to be spoilers. But let's watch this, guys. Yeah, hi, YouTube.
Bloodborne is a Lovecraftian horror RPG that no one understands by definition, where the player is free to attack hordes of human children at will and consume their innards. If that in-depth and engaging anti-baby gameplay appeals to you, keep listening because it gets worse. In this game, you play as John Bloodborne, a foreigner incapable of speech without the use of sign language, and stricken with Habsburg disease, comes to the ancient city of London seeking treatment for the sins of his cousins. In doing so, he will begin hallucinating talking dolls, spider people, and the great...
Wait, this is not supposed to be London, right? I love how when I paused it, it just... Can I get 1080p, please? Can I have 1080p of blur? Wait. He... It's not London, right? It's its own city, I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's based on London, but it's not London.
Journeying further, John Bloodborne becomes conscripted into the service of a gay elder god and the 60-year-old man he keeps as a pet, and is given the ultimate task of killing an invisible infant in order to cure his anemia. To accomplish that Herculean task, the player must journey through dark forests, terrifying nightmares, and the meth-ridden alleyways of a post-Brexit Britain, slaying monsters, exploring, and tricking women into being impregnated by gods so you can consume the child. This game is an excellent realization of a Metroidvania with something...
Wait. Is this lore accurate? Is this video lore accurate? I wonder. Yes, I want 1080p blur. I wonder if this video is lore accurate.
New around every corner, a great action RPG which pits you against insurmountable odds and extreme challenges, and has a gripping story and lore about discovering the eldritch truth. So if you can, play it yourself because I'm not going to hold back on the details. It's no secret that my reviews are entertainment first, so I don't suggest using me as genuine advice.
Don't use them as tips, guys.
However, most people can't play this game ever because you have to buy a $400 magical box sold by the wizard Sony in order to experience it, and even then you get to see it in an amazing 30 frames per second with no anti-aliasing. Port this game to PC, I beg of you. In fact, I can assume that a lot of...
Yeah. It is so hard. If you haven't played Bloodborne, it's so hard to like look at it because there's no anti-aliasing. It's kind of, but not really. Okay. It really deserves a PC port. It really does. It's a good game.
People watching this video will basically never play the game, but keep watching because I'm hilarious and original. Do that, and I can give you the full, unfiltered, uncensored,
Chat. We are gonna rate his funniness at the end of this. Okay? We have to rate how funny we think he is at the end of this. If he is not the most hilarious thing, you do not give him a 10 out of 10, okay? We are not doing this. We are rating him honestly. He thinks he's hilarious. He thinks he has main character energy, so we are gonna criticize the shit out of him.
Substantiated and unsportsmanlike experience that is Bloodborne. The gameplay is what makes this game great, and the easiest way to describe it is simple but complicated. On a simple level, your baby brain is responsible for only two tasks, dodging and hitting. And dodging in this game renders you temporarily invincible. Sounds easy, right? Wrong, because every single...
I love iframes. I love iframes. Iframes, whoever the motherfucker invented iframes, you are my hero. And this is why Dark Souls 2 sucks. Because 0 iframes, actually negative iframes.
single enemy is adjusted to keep pace with you. Basic enemies are basically able to whoop your ass into fucking non-existence. Every encounter, therefore, is tense and engaging. When you kill someone, it's because you were faster and had more meth than they did. On a complicated level, you have a gun, and normally bullets hurt people, but in London, bullets are a suggestion, like the Geneva Convention. Here in England, it's all about the knife bins. Except when you shoot somebody mid-attack, you gain the mystical and arcane ability to plunge your fist through their ribcage like Mortal Kombat, and rip out their heart, which is considered rude and a slight annoyance. This extends to behind them if you charge an attack, which sometimes causes you to reach up a pig's asshole and rip out the prostate like...
Well, ripping out the pig's prostate is the best way to farm for blood. Just saying.
Like fruit by the foot. Side note, the most optimal farming
I've never had fruit by the foot. Is it any good?
route for currency in this game is called Murgo's Pig Fisting Route. See, I changed the webpage. And in this route, you sneak up behind this guy and do him the dirty. Then entice these two swinular bastards to be mauled to death by members of Organization 13. Repeat 50 times. On a complicateder level, every single weapon in the game has 2 different modes with 2 different movesets. And transforming between them gives you special attacks, in addition to running attacks, plunging attacks, on a theoretical physicist level, your character memorizes squiggly lines and fridge art created by gods for passive bonuses that work regardless of weaponry. My favorites are more money, and more money they stack.
I mean, more money. I will never say no to more money. You had it as a kid, it was overhyped in the 90s. Okay. I just never had it. Like you guys remember those really long rings of bubble gum you could get, and it was just like really long. It was like bubble gum. That was good. That was not overhyped. That was good. That was good.
Finally, on a meta
Imagine we had runes in real life that you could stack and get more money. I would be down for that.
Theoretical chiropractic level, every weapon is customizable with different gem slots that give differing effects for your attacks. And there are different types that can literally change all of the stats of the weapon, like making a fucking spear do more damage based off of intelligence. There's definitely more and a lot of strategy in how you level up your character.
Wait, why would you do that? To be honest, I feel like I need to replay Bloodborne so I can really appreciate, now that I know what to expect, to actually like try out new things, you know?
But I assume that you know how to level up in a fucking video game. But with all this combat prowess, you may be wondering, max0r, who are these crusty abominations that you're fighting on screen? Well, to learn that much, we're going to have to delve into the lore.
The lore.
Your britches, bitches, because this shit is wild. If I say something questionable, just accept it as fact. I can be trusted. 60 years ago, 20 rowdy college students took their education extremely seriously because they found woman Cthulhu. She was just in a portable toilet downstairs. Also, because they were bored, they beat to death a god of the sea with some bats, but that's a story for later. It turns out the entire world is
the DLC.
Ruled and created by a race of elder gods beyond human comprehension called the Great Ones. Figuring this out, they got Cthulhu's blood and were like, we can make a religion out of this. Because it turns out the blood can heal people, which is really good due to all the knife crime. So everyone starts drinking it a little too much and they get the money to build 36 cathedrals, but it turns out eventually the blood turns you into a werewolf. So the church hires a guy named German to...
Wait, it's the blood that turns you into a werewolf? I thought everybody was just like had the plague. I thought the whole game, you were just in the plague. I thought there was the plague happening and everybody was just turning into werewolves after a while. I didn't know it's because they chose to drink blood.
To go fight the beasts with an organization known as the Hunters, but there's too many beasts, so he gives up. Now the knife crime has increased even more, and German sort of goes insane and creates a life-size doll of one of his students who is an 8-foot-tall Amazonian. He also canonically has sex with it. The moon god, for some reason...
Guys, did he really have sex with the doll? I'm asking for a friend. Did he really have sex with the doll? Imagine taking blood and instantly being cured of everything, but you use it too much, you become... Wait, is that really what happened? Would you drink the blood if you cured everything?
Kind of takes notice of this and is like, all right, listen, I'm building a suicide squad. I will bring your waifu to laifu if you serve me for all time as my slave.
Wait, what? He makes a deal with the god to turn his doll into real life? How did I miss all this lore? I know that he made it of Maria. It's heavily suggested. Guys, please do not make sex dolls and try to bring them back to life by summoning a Cthulhu god and promising him souls of an innocent.
Herman reasonably thinks that this is a great deal and is imprisoned in a dream. This is where you come in. See, the moon god assassinates baby gods for fun, but needs a hitman to go into the real world to do it since he's confined to the 9th dimension. So in addition to fighting all manner of giant beasts and uncovering dark secrets, the true aim of this game is to commit infanticide. There's enough bullshit here to kill tax legislation, so comment your own poorly summarized Bloodborne lore below. And for the rest of us non-shills, we have ample time to explain more of what makes this game great. Yes, you have been jinxed. I am talking about bosses before I talk about the levels. In most video games, bosses cap off areas, but in Bloodborne, areas are preambles to a dick flattening, and nothing will challenge your skill in quite the same way, except for
That poor doll.
the goddamn witches of Hemwick, who were placed into the game for disability access. You can probably tell that Bloodborne is a hard game. We don't even know if a games journalist can beat it, but it's hard in a fair way that tests your skills and reaction time.
So the game is hard in a reasonably fair. Except for the Emperor, the Orphan of Cause. He is unfair and unjust, and he deserves to burn in his little place in hell. Just saying.
Lawrence, but I'll get back to Lawrence later. What sets this game's bosses apart is that the challenge makes it feel like you're a really small dude jabbing a toothpick into a building-sized deer demon. So yeah, I would be impressed if he killed that. But not only that, unlike Dark Souls, every single boss reacts meaningfully to how you attack them. Large beasts can have their bones cracked and their tendons wound into slinky. Bone boys can be knocked over and have their marrow shipped. And human enemies will wince and recoil when they see your height difference. As well, every boss punishes you for cowardice and actively discourages backpedaling with their forward momentum, causing every fight to be an elaborate dance with a thrilling back and forth. Unless you're fighting Rom, who is the really hungry caterpillar if he had a legion of arachnid slaves who threw their heads underground like ostriches. We don't talk about him. And while
Did you know in the chalice dungeons you can actually fight a stronger Rom? And I said nope, and I walked away. Bloodborne is not harder than Elden Ring. It depends on how you fight in Elden Ring. Like if you're a magic user in Elden Ring, then Bloodborne's going to be harder for you. But if you're like a stabby stab player like I am, then Bloodborne will not be harder.
while we're on the subject of bad bosses, this motherfucker, let me tell you something.
I hate this motherfucker. I hate him so much. You know why? You know why I hate him so much? Because he's a coward that runs away. Nicholas.
The humanoid bosses in this game are paradoxically the most dangerous, but Mikolash is a psychological hazard that will hurt you personally. This boss literally feels like cut content because the fight centers around chasing him, and his direction depends on RNG, making him an actual speedrun killer. When you corner him, he uses one attack, and then you chase him again, where he gains the power to insta-kill you. God forbid you're hit by it, because that's 10 minutes gone. Here's a tip. Save up 10 poison knives and steal from your family if you must. Then wait until he jumps down this hole, poison him repeatedly, and watch him spaz the fuck out until...
I tried to do that. I tried to do that to Mikolash, and it did not work. I tried to do that. He was hiding under the lip. I think they patched that out. I think they fixed that bug to do that, because he didn't do that for me. Elden Ring is the most accessible. I don't think Elden Ring is necessarily the easiest. It's the most accessible. Melania and the Elden Lord are two of the hardest bosses in Souls history. But you can summon up to 3 other people to help you out who might have better skills than you. So it's more accessible. Doesn't necessarily mean easy. I feel like a lot of people have this argument about Elden Ring, like calling it easy, but it's just more accessible. Captain, you know I'm going to have to move myself back down now because you made me so big. I don't know. Well, let's move myself back down. I was like, I could stay there. I guess I'm staying there. Thank you. Thank you for the feats. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Death. You will thank me. But as a result of everyone who isn't Miko shit, conquering a boss in this game is absolutely rewarding on a level that other games cannot match. It's only because the odds are stacked against you in ways that don't feel bullshit most of the time that conquering them is the main reason I play, and their fights are undoubtedly the best I've ever.
Conquering the bosses in Souls games is what it's all about. Like, that's why you play Souls games, that satisfaction you have when you beat it. I mean, I fought solo in Bloodborne. I played all the Souls games solo with occasional NPC summons. I'd argue accessibility means more people are able to beat it, and if more people are able to beat it, it's easier. Not easy, just easier. See, I don't think Elden Ring is more people. I don't think Elden Ring was beatable by more people. Does that make sense? I think majority of people who played Elden Ring did not beat it. I think majority of people who beat Elden Ring didn't beat it. Like played Elden Ring didn't beat it. So I still think, and the fact that you could just level up to an ungodly level and summon a bunch of people, it's a good game.
But that isn't most of the time in the game. In fact, a lot of your time is spent exploring the areas, so let's get into that. Lesson 1 in area design. Where the fuck am I going? Exploration is the name of the game, except it's called Bloodborne. Only this time, you don't bring smallpox and kill 20 million people. We're looking at a solid 10 this time, because the main enemies in this game are British townspeople. It's how the developers made sure you didn't feel bad about killing them. The plague of beasts in London causes people's teeth to become beast-like, makes you aggressive at night, and slurs your speech. So it's up to you to stop them, as a hunter should. If you don't look up where to go next in this game, good fucking luck. People get lost all the time. Get used to it. This game doesn't do...
The chat helps me not get lost. Without chat, I would 110% get lost.
exploration like, oh look, there's loot in this hallway, my dopamine's gonna go crazy. That's baby shit. This is daddy's exploration, where you find a route back to a place you were in 10 hours ago. And I hope you weren't expecting a mini-map or any map. Every single hallway is a rabbit hole of discovery and your hand isn't held. Case in point, Cathedral Ward is a level but feels like a hub area because it connects to fucking everything. And where you start the game is in the middle of a loop-de-loop involving torturous experiments.
You know what? I actually have never looked at the Bloodborne map. I feel like I need to look at it. I feel like it would be cool to look at it and stare at it and learn it.
Just look at the fucking map of this game. Everything overlaps. And yes, there is a level called Nightmare Lecture Hall, and no, it does not connect to the Altar of Despair, although you would think that. Fittingly, the Lecture Hall is the smallest area, and more fittingly, 90% of the combat is graduates throwing cum at you. The game also has two completely secret areas that you would not find without the internet. I would tell you how to enter, but I don't want to do calculus. And what you get at the end? Upper Cathedral Ward is legitimately a horror area in a game loved for its combat, because it's filled with enemies who act out my greatest fears. Stealing currency permanently gives me fucking chills every time I talk about it. Castle Canehurst is proof that From Software hates us all, since the best area in the entire game requires you to go to the Field of Corn in Ohio and trek down Waldo. But it's worth it to invade the house of that parasitic queen dwelling in her demented castle, so that she may feel the wrath of the proletariat. All we have to do is kill Prince Philip, who guards the way as an eternal lich.
So Prince Philip, guys, I actually went and I fought him, and then I raged quit and left, and then I came back after forgetting that I didn't kill him, and then he was easy. If you level up enough in Bloodborne, it too becomes easy.
On top of this, there are numerous NPCs and NPC quest lines spread throughout the world, all with a series of interactions with each other depending on location and timing. For instance, you could direct nuns, prostitutes, and Prince Philip to a church run by a lonely black sludge. Then
what?
Blood transfusions to send the nun into a yandere rage. Or you can direct them to the nice woman who runs the clinic down the street, who only wants to help and assist others. Then take a strange path through the forest and into her clinic to discover that she has been experimenting on all of them in order to create the Blue Man Group. And if you want, you can take the umbilical cord away from her schizophrenic ass and eat it. The sky's the limit in Bloodborne questlines. And you know what my favorite questline is? The one where you descend.
I didn't get Prince Philip to go to my world, to go to my cathedral.
Into literal hell, complete with eternal punishment, insanity, and femboy fishing, the scariest of them all. I'm of course talking about the DLC, the only DLC for this game. And if you play through Bloodborne, you have to play through the DLC. I'm not giving you a fucking choice. So to learn why, you should play the best expansion ever made since Spore Galactic Adventures. Jungles. Come with me on this amazing journey to find the secrets of the Bloodborne, the Old Hunters.
Part 3, the DLC.
I want you to imagine hell.
Thank you for the tweet.
Imagine hell written by H.P. Lovecraft. It will be filled with squids, immigrants, and air conditioning. This DLC has none of that except the squids. For you see, those college kids from the lore section of the video were built fucking different. They
Why did egg not work?
Entire village and possibly beat up a god of the sea so fucking bad that her consciousness in the 9th dimension died. We spent an entire game killing an infant, and these guys somehow killed the MILF god. But anyways, in the process of this, it cursed them and all of the hunters to be doomed to a hell upon death, where they will hunt in a bloodthirsty rage without rest for all eternity, indistinguishable from a political subreddit. Case in point, this is Ludwig. He's the first boss of the DLC and has a reputation for causing refunds. Not because he's bad, but because he's too
It's funny because it's true. This game is horrible.
Realizing that Golden Corral is not actually a real corral, but like every restaurant except
So guys, I have a confession. I have a confession. I beat Ludwig the first try. He was easy. He was easy. Now, in my defense, I did have the twin summon dude. I did have the dude, the one twin. I did summon him. It was the NPC dude. But still, he was easy. So if you thought Ludwig was hard, you just suck. Just say.
Golden Corral, the rewards at the end are delicious because his second phase is even harder. Now, I'm not going to lie, this DLC has 4 bosses and 3 of the hardest bosses I have ever fought in any video game ever. So your ass will be clenched the entire time, and the fact that he's the 3rd hardest is fucking concerning. Some people tell me, max0r, your videos have gotten me through tough times because they made me laugh. But like this boss, you are the one who is truly overcoming these challenges, and I believe in your ability to beat both of them. King, Boss Lightning Round. The DLC has many such cases of amazing.
What do you mean, Sarah? Sarah, you're making no sense. I said Elden Ring was harder, and then I said Ludwig was easy. I'm gonna hydrate.
Bosses, including Lady Maria, who is the basis for German's extremely creepy 8-foot-tall doll fetish, but we'll get back to that. And Orphan of Cause, who was born from the literal dead body of a god.
This boss is hell.
The sensation of being beaten to death with a sharpened placenta. This is the fight for you. And as with everything that From Software makes, they threw in a boss that they didn't finish and called it a day. I'm of course talking about Lawrence, which is a very mundane name for a fire monster locked in hell. Take my advice, don't fight Lawrence. You only lose a part of yourself.
Lawrence wasn't as easy as Ludwig. Lawrence, I think I beat Lawrence pretty fast too, but not first try.
Since this boss fights you by dropping off his own legs and then violently vomiting and shitting lava everywhere. I've always wanted my game about dynamic dodging and elaborate fencing to be reduced to shitty area denial like it's Team Fortress 2. To wrap
there we go.
things up, the music of this game is pretty good, but the DLC music is fucking insane. I don't know what it is about Japanese composers being able to make better symphonies than the continent that invented them, but just take a listen. Holy shit, I am alive right now. Have you ever thought, as I do, that this game is just too good? That you would really rather be playing a shittier version of the game, such as the engagement of the Chalice Dungeons?
Sapling, Elden Ring offers vast exploration and freedom, while Bloodborne focuses on intense combat and challenging foes. They both present unique difficulties, but Bloodborne's relentless pace and unforgiving battles make it a tougher challenge overall.
Okay, let's see what's happening next.
They're fine, probably, except for half of them, because
oh my god, my brain.
Because Bloodborne has an optional system of infinite dungeon generation for all of those who wish to break free of the shackles of good level design. Let's talk about how, and more importantly, why. First of all,
so the challenge dungeons are completely optional. You do not have to do the challenge dungeons. Be like me and do not do the challenge dungeons.
Bloodborne has a system of dungeons that everyone shares and dungeons that are random. For my footage, I played the shared dungeons that you can be guaranteed the pain you witness on screen is mandatory. One of the biggest strengths.
I don't remember fighting that enemy ever. Just parry him. Just parry him. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I need to go back to Bloodborne now that I have parrying skills from Sekiro.
Strengths of Bloodborne is the ability to have interesting and challenging enemy encounters gently rubbed with the blood-stained hands of Miyazaki. But I don't think I have to explain to you how randomizing almost every encounter in the game could be imbalanced. But fortunately, most enemies you encounter in the Chalice dungeons are new to spare British people your wrath, so you instead fight SCP-96. But why are we here? It turns out that the entire city of London was built on a Celtic burial ground, an ancient civilization called the Tumerians who discovered the healing.
Wait. I didn't know the challenge dungeons had lore.
Powers of blood and then mysteriously disappeared. Wow, I wonder what happened. This is all cool in theory, but the reality is that most of the time you fight the same 4 enemies.
Yes, parrying makes your enemies go to their knees.
And the first 3 dungeons can be replaced by Simon Says. My cat literally wouldn't notice. The Chalice dungeons are so forgotten that the developers use them to put joke enemies into the game. My favorite
Wait, joke enemies?
Who aggressively rolls at you stark naked wearing only his Nikes. The uniqueness also extends to the bosses, and they're actually pretty cool, like Tumerian Descendant, Watchdog, and the 3 overweight men. Do you remember
I hate
basic levels?
I did the overweight man. I did the overweight man. It was horrible. That was horrible.
He is the boss now. Rom, he is the boss again. The only thing stopping me from throwing myself into a wood chipper is the fact that Mikolash isn't back. And if you're going to have replays, you probably want to make sure that they're actually good. In fact, the bosses are so fucking imbalanced that the Watchdog fight is primarily comprised of instant kill attacks. I beat Sekiro backwards on a keyboard, and this shit is too fucking much. Now, normally that would be all, but the dungeons go deeper. What we have discussed so far is merely the surface, and there is a much darker syndicate lying just below. These places you must never venture, for they are the save edit dungeons, whereby through wizardry, the community are able to conjure up deep, dark chasms and share them with the rest of the world. Of these secrets, there are only two that I shall reveal to you, and the first is the Cum Dungeon. Yes, you heard that correctly and clearly. The Cum Dungeon is
we all love the Cum Dungeon.
The name of the most optimal farming route ever conceived by the fucking cricket people who do this shit, whereby the player enters the chasm of place name and watches as a high-level boss yeets itself off a cliff. Murgo's pig-fisting.
And this is why Bloodborne's easier than Elden Ring, because there's the Cum Dungeon.
Route can give you 10,000 echoes. This gives 83,000. And if you thought that sorcery was bad, it gets much worse. You can insert anything from the game files by save editing a chalice dungeon.
What?
Anything. This includes cut and unfinished content from the game that the developers forgot to delete. Like this doggo who attacks you with invisible lightning. Overall, the chalice dungeons are bad. They're not actually very fun to play, and yet I love them. Everyone loves them because they allow us to further explore a long-dead game with the help of a passionate community. Now, before we sign off, I know what you're thinking. max0r, what about the multiplayer? That I would love to talk about with all the footage I have, but it's dead.
Because I can pause on anything that I want to, Extreme Well. I am the pause queen. I have the control. I'm the one with the remote. I will pause the video as many times as I want to. Okay, Sarah, you need to get the Cum Dungeon. Then you too can be unstoppable.
If this game releases on PC, and it better, then I will talk about the multiplayer extensively. And finally, this game and this video would not be complete if I didn't talk about the Hunter's Dream. After all the combat, the battles, and the difficulty of this game, it's nice to have a place to recharge, purchase items, upgrade weapons, and watch as it violently burns to the ground. This is where you'll find German slowly wasting away as his soul remains captive for an eternity, and his doll waifu that he sold his existence to be with. She talks to you.
I can't get over, but that's the lore. That's the whole motivation. The whole motivation of the game is a man wanting to bring his doll to life.
You, levels you up, offers you advice, and German says you're allowed to have sex with her. When I fell down.
Wait, what? You're welcome to use whatever you find.
Allowed to have sex.
Even the doll? Should it please?
With her. When I fell down and felt defeated, she was there to pick me up. When I emoted at her randomly, she pretended to be impressed. And she was there, graciously standing in the background of this one shot that I took of myself. She is our waifu now, and the game is perfect.
Well, the difference of Liza P, Mr. Otaku, is in Liza P, it's the hot hunky doll that you play and you want to bring yourself back to life, not the other way. You want to become human again. How did I miss that? I don't know. I miss a lot of things, Extreme Wolf. This is why we're watching this video, because I don't pay attention.
Perfect and complete because she is in it. Now excuse me as I engage in the supplementary lore material.
What?
Should you get the game? Yes, absolutely. I am biased. In fact, you should physically enter Sony's headquarters and demand that it be ported to PC. I will be right there with you. Tasers will not stop me.
Y'all need to riot and go to Sony headquarters and demand a Bloodborne port. Okay. We don't need to listen to him asking for our precious money. No.